All right, we're waiting on YouTube and Instagram. It looks like YouTube is waking up.
Oh, I
And
think.
waiting
Oh, maybe
on
that's it.
Instagram. Ooh, Jake, I win the card. So my screen is first. So I have a full screen on my Instagram. So that'll be kind of nice for the people and they'll be able to hear all of us. Yes, we are completely live. Jake and Alex. Good morning.
Awesome. Morning.
Morning and hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. That noise you just heard was me checking out my Instagram feed, but I'm gonna close that down now. Um, so we are creating a sci-fi post-apocalyptic comic book. I usually pencil, and then Kurt usually inks. Here's my pencils right here. And we have a special guest today for the first time in an episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. We are welcoming Alexander Turbin, the proprietor of quite a prolific comic creating operation, and we'll be talking to him throughout the episode as well. So, how you doing, Alexander?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great, I can hear you fine. So the audio is
Excellent.
working
Excellent.
great here. Um, and yeah, we're just gonna go into our regular episode. I pencil issue number 2. Kurt is, as you can see, is inking issue number 1. And Kurt, what page are you on now?
About 26 of 28.
26. So Kurt is being a little naughty. He kind of jumped ahead of we've been
Now,
doing these 6 pagers, and then when they're all wrapped up, we've been putting out these teasers. When we put out 2 so far, and so far they've been cumulative, but we might go to a different format. And that's one of the reasons that we're bringing Alexander in, because one possibility is doing anthologies instead, where we just present the new material rather than making it cumulative. So we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. I'm over here penciling page 21 of issue 2, and this is good. I'm still on the scene where Turbo just blew everybody apart, and she invaded the church rectory where Sister Ray was being held. Now they're ripping down the curtains because the radioactive peas are held in these curtain rods, and she is going to be causing a giant nuclear apocalypse and destroying everything. And this is going to be awkward here when Turbo finds out that this is happening, but she's not going to die. She is going to be sent on a mission. Here, if you can see, she in blue line pencil, she's going to be arguing that they should continue to fight right now, and that she knows that the package here is some kind of weapon. And then Sister Ray is going to set her straight, and I'm showing that here just in my little sliver. So that she's going to be sent onto this whole other mission to go meet Elevena in a prison. And if what I'm talking about doesn't seem like it makes any sense, welcome to the dystopian future. You can catch up. You can catch up on our Substack, Doom Mag Substack, and read a lot more about this world that we're creating. But this will all make sense when issue number 2 is finished and published. And issue number 1 is a lot closer, obviously, but we're going to we're going to lay out a timeline at some point in the near future for having our next 6-page section out, which will bring us from 12 to 18, and then we'll also have more bonus stuff in there like we did before. And the bonus stuff is important because it kind of explains what the hell's going on. This right here is explaining all of the kind of like storylines within their end of the world timeline. So, how was everybody's week? And did you see any B movies? Kurt, what's going on?
Actually, before you go to me, I just can't get my eyes off of Alex's camera because he's got probably next to Conan and Crom the Barbarian, the greatest barbarian ever presented to 13 and 14-year-olds. Thunder the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You're killing me over here.
I'm glad you recognized it. I'm still in a lot of the process, but yeah, I definitely think that it's probably number 3. You're right.
Wait, you're putting Thongor above Kull?
What? Wait a second.
Thundar above Kull?
Yes. Oh, I thought you said Thongor. Wait, you know what?
No,
Kurt, you stepped on your own line. You didn't say Thongor. You said Thundar.
Thundar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thundar. That's Thundar.
Yeah.
Wait, but isn't he a Hanna-Barbarian?
Yeah, he's a cartoon. Saturday mornings. Yeah. I still watch it.
Hanna-Barbera.
Wait, Jake, do you not know Thundar the Barbarian?
Well, yeah, but not from the comics.
Right.
He was like an animated cartoon, and I want to say Hanna-Barbera, right?
Right. But created by Jack Kirby, right?
Yep.
Oh, really?
And
he was
and Alex Toth.
Yeah.
Alex Toth too. Yep.
So that instantly gives it some street cred right there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
Well.
I started doing this because I'm a huge Thundar Barbarian fan. I don't know why they haven't redone the cartoons or made a movie or something. I mean, that's just the stupidest thing in the whole world. But one of the other big reasons is Ookla the Mok is one of my favorite bands, and that's named after obviously Ookla the Mok from Thundar.
Yeah.
Right. And wasn't there some kind of blobby creature in that too?
Blobby creature.
Wasn't there like a for comic relief? Okay.
No, you're thinking of
The Impossibles, maybe?
No, it's just coming out too. Walt Simonson just posted a picture of it, I think. My brain's going, so it's like it's a family of barbarian stuff.
Oh yeah, the Herculoids.
Herculoids, yeah, there you go.
The Herculoids, right? That's
got some good shit. Yeah,
right,
they had like a shmoo. They had like a shmoo amoeba type character. I can't remember his name and anything like that. But yeah, that whole Space Ghost. But yeah, with Thunder the Barbarian, the rumor has it that there is. The reason we're not getting anything new is for multiple reasons based on copyright, and I think even the estate of Jack Kirby has claimed some residual if they were to ever do anything, because obviously you would want to use Jack Kirby and blah 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 blah, and so no agreement could come in. But yeah, and then of course the reason Thundar the Barbarian didn't even get really a second complete season is because the ratings were not only falling because mothers were restricting children from watching it because it was so violent without soft and furry characters in there. So the parents, moms caught up to us the second year. My mom didn't get it. They didn't give a crap, but yeah, that was Hanna-Barbera got an incredible amount of pressure to take it off. It was the first season, their first season was a huge success, but then it just the moms of America,
Scooby-Doo is a license to print money, and we know that Marvel settled with Kirby, and before the Eternals movie came out and generated tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. I'm not sure if DC ever settled with the Kirby estate in the same way. Do you guys know? Anybody know?
I don't know. They did Schuster and Siegel, I think, when the Superman movie came out.
Right.
the first one.
Right, but yeah, but
But
it's not like DC put out any Jack Kirby movies, right? We haven't seen
no,
Commandy or Demon.
no, no,
I know
no. You're right.
there was a Commandy animated short that was put out,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
there
doubt
was.
doubt it made any money. I think they just gave it
Right.
away for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No, no.
maybe that
Now
was
that
a
you mention
trial
it,
balloon.
yeah. Even the JLA movie didn't have Darkseid in it, did it?
I don't know. But
Maybe the
if
director's
they
cut. Did the director's cut maybe?
yeah, if they did,
Oh, I think
then
so.
yeah, if they did, then there might have had to have been a case by case negotiation
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And I think it's in the Kirby estate's best interest to settle rather than hold things up, because they'll just avoid the properties. So
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
definite give and take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
they seem
yes,
kind of like
here we are.
What's that?
Here we are talking about Jack Kirby all these years later still.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's
It's a
the king
wonderful
for the
thing.
reason.
So if nobody saw any B movies this week or comic movies this week, then I'm going to give my mini review of Joker. Or should I hold off?
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm interested.
Kurt?
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, go for it, Jake.
Okay. So as everybody could probably guess, it's not as good as the first. And it does continue this really kind of like dark storytelling. Actually, one of the interesting things is that the movie picks up just as soon as the last one ends, and not too much time has passed. It's when the Joker is sitting in jail waiting for his trial, and then he meets the lovely and talented Harley Quinn, who goes by a completely different name. It's like they call her Lynn for some
Right.
reason, like
Right.
Harley, and so they reinvent her. And I'm not sure how Margot Robbie feels about Lady Gaga playing the Harley Quinn, but it's kind of like a different version, a different idea, separate
Yeah.
reality.
Right.
So I guess all's fine. And really, really dark and gritty. The acting was incredible. Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, good acting, good casting, good sets, good scenery, good feel, good noir. But it's if you're expecting to be as pleasantly surprised as we all were when we saw the first Joker, it's not like that. To me, I'm not gonna, go into any spoilers, but such a missed opportunity. Especially because they do a no. In my book, Kurt, the number one thing I hate in movies is
I can't
Music?
remember. Sorry.
that's right, time travel.
Oh, time.
So that's
Oh
funny.
shit! Now I'm totally in. I'm
no,
gonna
but
watch
they
it
don't.
tonight.
So they don't have time travel in the Joker Part 2 or whatever they call it.
Oh, come on.
But they have my second worst thing that I hate in movies is courtroom scenes. So
Oh,
yeah, and it's there's not enough action. There's all this great acting and everything, and all this emoting, and you are really drawn into the Joker's character yet again. And then some of those just scenes, you just like wondering how can he do that, right? Like making himself laugh like that. It's just amazing,
It's
from an
yeah.
actor's.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But so I guess we'll just leave it there because I don't want to say too much about it. There is a kind of a big twist at the end. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen any other reviews besides my own, because I always avoid reviews when I'm about to see a movie, and
Yeah.
then I just forgot to read them after I saw the movie. So
They're
I'm
not
sure
good.
yeah, I'm sure they were very critical, and even
Really?
before I saw the movie, I saw people
Yeah.
just doubting that it was going to be as good as the first. But what I thought they really need to do is they really need to speak more about the way that the first movie connected with our time and what's going on right now, when the Joker kind of like subverted the entire
Right.
population of these clown wearing people, and they want to take to the streets, and they want to promote anarchy, and they want to protest things.
Maybe
and
maybe that's the problem, is that they're
Too
trying
much.
to
and so
avoid that for
they had some
for
of
the
that.
election,
They had
after
some
the
of that.
election.
Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, why aren't they, doing more of it? Why are we ending up in a courtroom and then,
Don't give these
Yeah.
people any ideas. Come on.
Yeah.
right? Well, and that brings us back to the movie Civil War. Did you guys all see it?
No.
Okay, and I don't mean the Marvel Civil War.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Oh,
I would recommend seeing that movie because it did have kind of like a weird take on where we are right now, and what the producers thought might happen, in the same kind of way that we're doing this with Turbo. I'm going like way ahead, like past the whole 2100s really, before we pick up any action, and our timeline is going to be the 2100s to the 2200s, and maybe like a 200 year, or maybe like 150-year span. But in Civil War, I know it's been out a while, I know it's been on TV. They had kind of like a rebellion within states, and it wasn't just contiguous like it was in the first Civil War. It was states here and there that are all declaring to be anti-government, and antics ensue. And it gets very violent, and they kind of give you some scenes about what that all looks like from the viewpoint of these journalists, photographers that are traveling to try to cover everything that's going on at great risk to themselves to try to get the word out. And it wasn't the greatest movie, especially the ending. To me, the ending was kind of like shocking, and one of those things that I was complaining to Kurt about, where the bad guys win. Like I
Yep.
was in Kurt's ear, Alexander, about like how the Sopranos and the Sons of Anarchy and shows like that are bad for our collective psyche because we're glorifying the bad guy. I mean, you could also talk about the Godfather series
Yeah.
and everything, but
Yep.
they're glorifying the bad guy, and justice doesn't prevail in the end. The last scene of the Sopranos was the most highly anticipated episode in TV history, and when everybody saw it, it was like, they were like, is he going to go down? Is he going to get arrested? Is he going
Right.
to get killed?
Right.
Sons of Anarchy ended it on kind of one of those notes, right? But
Yeah.
no, it just goes on. So what's
Yeah.
the message?
Well, I
And
thought the Sopranos ending was awesome because he's just sitting there with his family, and that's kind of just like the whole theme of the show is family. And the Sons of Anarchy, isn't that a Shakespearean? So I think they were going by the Shakespearean.
tragedy.
Yeah.
which one,
Yeah.
Macbeth?
I think it is Macbeth. I think.
Okay,
I'm
no,
not sure. I don't know my Shakespeare.
Yeah, I didn't know Macbeth was doing all that stuff on motorcycles, but yeah, I mean, I could see where, I mean, I don't know that Macbeth was, I mean, or Shakespeare had any. I know he had some of these tragic endings where everybody dies,
Right.
but I don't know if he had anything where the good guy is the bad guy.
Right.
Well, there is
And-
no, in Shakespeare, there is no good and bad guy. That's the whole, there's social commentary based on points of view. And
Right.
I think the Sons of Anarchy is King Lear, and King Lear is where King Lear wants to retire and just bask in the exuberance of his glory. And so he tells his three sons that they are to divvy up the lands and play nice to each other. And not only when that speech is over, while that speech is ending, one of the sons stands up and calls the father bullshit. Another son basically says, "You can't say that to dad." And then the third son basically drifts into the shadows and becomes the heart of the father. And so he's it's just this very non-good and bad guy thing. But I can't remember too much about.
Somebody was a teacher.
Oh, I love
12th grade.
my one of my top favorite stories I used to read every year is Shakespeare, the play. I still have my copy from high school. I've kind of fallen off of it, but if you really want to deal with like tragic hero in the most not only romantic, but like I would even go as far as to say sword and sorcery. It's the bomb. So, yeah, I mean, it's, good and bad, but hey, I want us to get into, some of the guts that, Jake and I started. Well, okay, let's start it off properly by saying last episode, I pulled a surprise attack on Jake and I said, instead of doing a teaser, what if we did something more like an anthology? And just so Alex is clear as well, from my perspective, what I was thinking was more like ephemera type of book. In other words, the next 6 pages. So you would have to get the first 12 pages in the teaser we have going on right now, the second teaser. Jake's pencils, which have never, other than when you watch me with my printed version of Jake's pencils, do you ever get to see the amazing pencil work that's going on there? And then Jake and I've been supporting Jake in building a Substack with just all of this historical value from there. Now, Jake was very inquisitive, I will say, and we didn't really create any kind of conclusion to it. And then Mr. Turbin reached out to me through Instagram saying, "Hey, what a great idea!"
Yeah.
and took a point of view which has Jake and I, our ears are perked and up from there. But Alex, I want to give it over to you and really allow you to kind of take what it was that you heard Jake and I so famously just banter back and forth on something, and then we'll kind of discuss from there.
Yeah. Well, I was really intrigued because it kind of seemed like, well, I think what it boils down to is how many people you want to get people to see this, and do you want them to, I mean, because as comic book artists and creators, like we're not illustrators, we're not painters, we're not just making one product. One of the greatest things you ever said was like the comic book is the finished art, is the art, and the pages the individual pages that you make, that's the process. So our actual art is the comic book. So it's how do you want to try to get the comic book to as many readers as you can, and what are you happy with, satisfied with, and what do you think success is when you're doing that? I think is probably the biggest crux of what you're trying to say. Like my random access, I have my Patreon, which I put out my random access, which is 12 pages, which is 10 of my pages and then a couple backup pages by other artists and stuff. And that just basically keeps me going on a personal level, getting it out there every month and not taking a month off, taking a week off and slacking off. So that's kind of that vehicle. Whereas my true ending product is when I collect them into individual issues. Like my Cyrene story and my Queller story are my biggest ones that in my mind. So really I'm most pleased when I collect those and have single individual issues of each of those.
Yeah, so one thing we've discussed is the Shonen Jump model.
Yeah.
Although, in Shonen Jump, obviously they're talking about like 400 pages
Right. Right.
every
Right.
week. Oh god. But they're taking, cartoonists from all over Japan, and they're serializing little teasers, for their latest works, and then of course
Right.
they're all collected when they're all put together, and they're printed in very, very cheap newsprint, and I don't even know if those are the final versions, but but something close to um you know uh camera ready art for all the different series. And you might be flipping along and you say, oh wow, here's a 6 pager or an 8 pager for my favorite
Right.
series. It's going to be coming out soon, and here's the latest progress. And that's the model, and we don't have that in America, although we do have anthologies. I don't know if we have too many current anthologies. And So I wanted to show you guys something. And I don't know if you can see everything. This also brings to mind, Kurt, what we forgot to announce at the beginning,
Oh yeah.
which is that if you're watching us live on Instagram by chance, why not scoot on over to YouTube where you can see our frames a little bit bigger. Right, he says right there at the bottom, watch on YouTube. I do this Trump thing with my hand. You can see, that when you're watching the IMAX movie, and they're like, this is what a regular movie looks like, and get ready to see what the IMAX screen looks like. And they go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, beep, beep, beep. And then you see the screen is much bigger. So click on over right now while we're still live to see us on YouTube. That's the best way to see us. Um, I wanted to show you guys this because I picked this up at complete random in a bulk pack, and Kurt knows I bought a couple of like grab bag packs from the mall store over here. It's called Newberry Comics, and you can see that for $5.99 and tax, you can get 10 comics. So you get what you get. The only thing you can see is what's on the top and what's on the back, and then everything in between is just a complete surprise. And I was flipping through this, and I saw this comic, and I was kind of put back. This is Image Comics #1, Ghost Machine #1, introducing Rook. And I wanted to show you guys this because this is kind of something along the lines of what we're talking about. You open it up, and they have all these creators listed here, and I'm like wondering what's going on here. So I flip the page again, and I get the table of contents, and this I'm not gonna like do a flip through here, but just so you guys know, this is really good art, and it's kind of like heavy metal ish style. It's a bunch of different styles, really pro. And then they have all of this kind of like Watchmen type, additional material here, and it looks like that they're and really nice, really good color palettes. There's a lot going on here. But this is the one of the things I want to show you, and there's one other thing, the timeline. So they have these little mini teams here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. It's a thick book. It's a pretty thick book, and they break it down into 4 sections, and each team here is a little section, but they do share it's like the same colorist throughout the whole book. And I'm sure there's like some overarching editing going on, with all of the whole group of people. They have the first section here, which takes place in the Revolutionary War, 1776. Then as soon as that little sequence ends, and speaking of Sons of Anarchy, to me, this looks like they're doing Charlie Hunnam. Doesn't this look like Charlie Hunnam here? Anyway, I see how I get distracted. Look, a squirrel. Anyway, so you get to this after the first segment, and I wanted to show you this because this is kind of like my idea. I have the end of the world timeline. Here they're doing this idea where each one of their sections is a little stopover in their timeline, which starts 1776 with the Redcoat becomes immortal. 1864, that's the Civil War era. The Northerner begins his hunt. 1944, they got World War II. The Monster is made. 1972, I don't know why they picked that, because these are all like war-torn dates. And then what happens in 1972? I don't know, the gas crisis.
Vietnam.
Junkyard Joe comes online, whatever that means. 1997, American Widow X. I don't know what that's about. And the first ghost is captured on film. And they go to the present day, and then they go 25 years from now. But they don't write the date, because I guess they wanted this to be evergreen, you know, for the next like 15, 20 years, whatever. And, you know, I'm seeing something pretty high quality. I think the overarching theme is that there's something called the unnamed. And I didn't get that into it, but, you know, whatever it is, I'm sure it's fine. This looks like a really good, like, effort, you know, by this giant team of people, you know, and they have different styles, all good. And, you know, look at this art. I mean, you know, these are real serious creators. So you know, the thing I wanted to take away is that my timeline would go, or our timeline would go from, like the 2100s when Esoterra is born, 2157, I think, all the way to the 2240s when Turbo is 10 years old. And that's page 1 in Turbo #1. And all along the way, we have all of these stopover points, which I think I showed already, but I'll show it again. Right here in our second teaser, the back matter. Here, where we have the casualties featuring Esoterra and Hellclaw, the arrival of the giantesses, the secret chronicles of the Duke, which I just sent over to Kurt to start serializing in our prose installments. Cromina, the She-Bot who built herself, haven't gotten into that yet. The rise of the pleasure bots, the cults, the sentience, and then Elevena 2222, which leads into Turbo. And yeah, for anybody listening, like if you're a good penciler, inker, or both, you don't have any script writing, you want to get involved in a collective, maybe you just want to dip your toe and just do a pinup, or maybe you want to take on a 6-pager, we're going to have 3 6-page scripts available pretty soon. We're going to be announcing this pretty soon. One of them's already done. That are going to be open call for collabs. And Alex is joining us today for the first time to talk about kind of like an anthology idea. And so I just kind of laid out, you know, how we combining the Turbo comic with the End of the World Timelines, which is our Substack, Doom Mag Substack, and how they could conceivably come together to generate more collabs and more comic making, as opposed to the schedule and the process that Kurt and I are currently on. We are on this regular schedule where we're creating, you know, our podcast. We do pencil and inking to generate pages for the comic. And then every week we release an installment of our writing, sci-fi writing and illustrations. And that's been pretty regular for how long now, Kurt? Like it's been like 2 or 3 months
for the I'm sorry,
for the Substack. How many Substack installments have we let go?
So 10 number 10 will release today.
So for 10 weeks we've been we've been pretty regular for about 10 weeks. And you know, the writing that we're releasing, anybody can see right now. It's at doommags.substack.com, or just put doommags in Twitter in Google, and you can see. So
that's your script,
the whole backstory, and that's the whole pitch. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
That's your script of what you're doing.
Well, the script of the Turbo comic is something that Kurt and I have been working on live on camera. Right. And we're basing it off these thumbnails, which I created long ago. I think as soon as Kurt and I sat down. So this is like 2.5 years ago. But this is how the Turbo 2 that I'm penciling right now is all laid out. And the fun part for me anyway is when I come to Kurt and I say, Kurt, I'm starting to get some ideas for Turbo 3. And then we start to put pen to paper, and I'm eventually going to be making these little thumbnails for that, which turn into full pages. Right now, this is all stuff that was dreamed up when we finished up the thumbnails for this comic. And young Turbo is going to get catapulted on a glider. Old Turbo, or 24-year-old Turbo, is going to be meeting Mr. Ike, who's like a mechanic, part of the Mechanics Guild.
Hey,
They're
Jake.
going to travel. It goes on from there. Yeah. What's up?
So one thing, I think we're all three of us are in a quandary about is exactly what Alex said is, how do we distribute? How do we get our art in front of people? Now, the number one thing both of us do, and I do have to say all three of us, both of us do it very well, is Alex also has his own YouTube channel, shares, and it's like his process is showing other people's work from, the 80s, the black and white boom, and maybe even before, breaking down story and art and the contextual stuff for that. And then, of course, sharing what's going on with, his storylines and stuff. The thing I would really love for Alex to give us is, because Jake and I have zero experience in it, and Alex has a tremendous amount of experience, is the whole anthology zining. So I was so blown away, and am still blown away by the Brutal Blade of Crom, which Alex is involved in. But the Brutal Blade of Crom was sort of agreed upon individuals that are all in here through Toilet Comics, which is on Instagram. And Jamie Barrow is the one that led it. But, it's basically keeping people on time. But Alex, can you give us sort of what the experience and process is for just putting together a zine? And this is not like, this is top-notch printing, full color cover, wrap around.
Right.
This is not something that was done down at the Kinko's. This is really heavy duty. So can you please share with us how that process kind of works, but even at the end, what is the response to doing something like this, in the world of comics?
Right. Well, from what I've seen, the biggest hurdle and, probably the biggest hurdle is getting the zine or comic or whatever into hands of people that are not either participating in making it and or just this other small group in, like, we as comic artists and creators, we have our small spheres of influence. Like I have Power Comics and stuff like that. But each individual has, friends, family, and other groups of artists that really like them. So they'll buy it. And so I think the biggest hurdle for doing that is getting it to a bigger audience, which I don't think many people have cracked that code. Adam Yeater probably is one of the people that I don't know if you guys know his stuff. It's Blood Desert stuff. Is really awesome. Kind of it reaches. You have to reach an iconic level, I think, because I had a friend that actually is in the Toilet Crew now, and I was talking about Adam and I working on stuff, and I had we were working on a book together, and he said, "Oh yeah, he was one of the first stickers I ever got." So somebody like that didn't even know anything about what I was working on and stuff. He was also already in on that influence there. So it's all about getting the influence and the word to other artists and kind of connecting those spheres of influence, I think.
Hey, Alex,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Can I ask you to back up and explain what the pitch was when they did the call for collabs on that project and how you got involved?
On Crom?
Yeah.
Well, we're all in we're in the Instagram the toilet group, Toilet Comics group. And in that group there's like 50 of us now in there. But in that group, there's all kinds of different, humor artists,
Yeah.
dirty artists, everybody, every kind of stuff. And Jamie just kind of messaged us individually who he knew that was into the sword and sorcery kind of stuff. And then he just kind of built it up there. I'm doing the same thing with a comic called Entropy Alliance, where I'm doing it only it's with superheroes instead of Crom the Barbarian. And
Right.
so it's really just networking, like I said, creating those spheres of influence and networking to the people that you want to get involved, and just keep putting it out there that you're going to start this thing. And then he started a chat room on the Instagram, and that's how we all kind of uh, told our stories on what we were going to work on, and just talked about Crom, and shared everything like that.
Right. And what can you tell us about the kind of the division of labor? Was it that everybody was going to contribute a 6-pager, an 8-pager? How did that all work?
Yeah, no, it was I think it was up to each individual person for how, because really it's however many pages you produce is kind of the amount of excitement you have, because for this kind of project you have to have a certain amount of excitement about it, because everybody has, multiple projects that they're working on. So to really narrow down what you're going to work on, you have to have a certain amount of excitement on it. And like I was really into it. I was like, I had my 5 or 6 pages, in like 3 or 4 days I had them done. And so I was really excited, and Jamie was really excited, and Matchy I think was pretty excited. So it really depends on the excitement and kind of continuing that and going on.
Right. And so you guys were just showcasing this is our collective of
Yeah,
pals who all share the love of sword and sorcery. We're all
yeah,
going to dive in on this public domain character, Crom, which is a
yeah,
great idea, and put this thing out. It's, I guess, mostly for fun and self-satisfaction, but
yeah,
who
exactly. Yeah,
knows, over time you might sell out the run. Excuse me, you might
right.
sell out the run and reprint, right? Anything can happen there. Is that the kind of the thinking?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like this Crom thing isn't the first thing that the Toilet Comics anthology groups have done. Like they did the Saturday morning cartoon anthology. They did the uh midlife crisis turtles. I don't know if did you see that at all?
Yeah,
That
I
was
did. Yeah.
actually reviewed by cartoonist Kayfabe.
Yeah.
So that got
Yeah.
a lot of traction. So it's all about trying to get it out there. But yeah, um, e- and then each individual person would like get their copies, buy their copies or whatever for whatever they could, and then like the toilet guys are always going to different conventions and comic book stores and stuff like that, and really just pushing the project that they're working on.
Right.
Also, too, they do not do a one press run. They're using this particular Crom is available through each individual artist, but there is a online print on demand. So I
Right.
actually have ordered 5 copies from Jamie because I'd like to keep them on cromthebarbarian.com for the accessibility of anybody who's just a Crom fan
Right.
and want to keep supporting, and obviously get you guys promo time. But I was completely blown away by this. It's called Maxim, MAXIM.com. So like I would categorize it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. It's like a print on demand zine plus print company.
Yeah, I don't know that is that what Crom is?
Yep,
I
yep,
think
yep.
Yeah.
didn't I use Maxim?
You'd
I
have
don't know.
to, yeah, Jamie would know that.
I
Okay,
might,
'Cause he
okay.
yeah, I forget if I used Maxim. I might have used that Maxim. Um, so yeah, and Kurt sees like, hey, I have my little online store. He's starting to distribute for for other creators besides himself and me, and it doesn't hurt. You just get 5 things there. It kind of widens your offering to people. Obviously, Kurt's all into Crom, the whole property and all that, and the history of it. So there goes the idea. But what about retailers? Because Kurt and I have been discussing, arguing, debating the the usefulness of distributing with Diamond nowadays. If you had a comic and you printed the minimum run, that you get a free listing in the previews catalog they still make. You could also buy an ad. God only knows what that costs. But and then every retailer that is still around is able to see that and pre-order, which could, the model, the way it used to work, is that would aggregate all your orders for you so that you could print a sizable run, get a print discount, and also get your stuff out there into people's hands. So what's your take on the current health of the retail store, comic store movement, or
right? Well, I know
movement?
quite a bit about the Diamond distribution thing, because as I said, that project that me and Adam were working on, well, I was originally trying to go through Diamond, and we contacted Diamond and did that whole process, which was kind of an ordeal. But also I'd gone through Diamond with the original Mutandis back in the 90s, which was much simpler and easier for indie comics, because I think they were having that boom at the time, early 90s, where they were just kind of selling pretty well. But then we hit it, and it was kind of the bust time. But I mean, we went through Diamond and we sold maybe 100 copies, something like that. But Diamond is, you have to.
You mean back when or now?
Yeah, back then, back in 92 or whenever the first Mutandis came out. And so you have to, it's 3 months in advance. So you're sending a copy in to be sold 3 months from now through Diamond, through their catalog. So you always have to keep that in mind. And ideally you want to keep that like income generating and the printing generating. But so you have to make those first 3 copies before you see any money come back to you to create more comics. So back in the day, which it's kind of the same thing now, you had to, like I said, you had to be able to keep that comic going, and you're printing 1,000 copies or whatever, because that's the only way you can make any kind of money back, because they take 60%. I believe they still take 60%. So you have to factor that into the cost of producing the comic. So you have to make, you can't make a couple hundred copies and sell through Diamond a couple hundred copies. You have to make 1,000, 2,000 copies, so that they're down to like $1 an issue or whatever, 75 cents an issue, that it's the cost. So then you can actually make the money back to produce more comics.
Right.
But nowadays, Diamond, you send in your copy, your comic, and now they actually have to, they kind of check out your social media, and you have to have at least 5,000 followers on all of your different social medias, which Adam was pretty close, because he had like 3,000 Instagram followers or something like that, and I had maybe 800 at the time. So we weren't really there yet. But so they have a much stricter requirement for distributing an indie comic, which I don't understand at all, because they don't distribute first time Marvel and DC anymore. So they're only doing indie stuff. So I don't really understand that at all.
Because Marvel and DC are doing their own own previews
Diamond
now, right?
Right. Well, Diamond does distribute Marvel and DC, but like the primary distributors for both Marvel and DC are somebody else. I don't know who they are. So you can either get the comics from Diamond a week later, or go through Marvel and DC's distribution a week earlier. So it wouldn't make any sense for me as a retailer to go through those other distributors and get it a week late, because you know how comic people can be. They want their stuff, as soon as they can get it.
So it sounds
like most people. with
Right, like
mostly.
most
Yeah,
people.
it sounds to me like you know, Diamond has their little niche,
Yeah,
and you know, you might say, oh, they're gatekeepers, you know, they're, you know, dog eat dog, you know, capitalists, whatever. But you know, they're probably inundated with indie comics that, you know, come from every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and so they need to set the bar pretty high to just try to weed out, you know, the best sellers and the best potential that they have, you know, to sell
yeah,
copies. You know, that's all just market mechanics.
yeah,
um but that also kind of eliminates. And so Kurt, this is what we talk about with all of our guests, right? Like, what's the future of
Yep.
comics, and what
Yep.
is a delivery system? How can
right.
you get, you know, some good quality like-minded creators, they're all producing, to get their, you know, their products, whether it's collabs or whether it's their individual stuff, get them out in front of audiences. And you know, so now let's talk about Kickstarter, because you know,
You're right,
Kickstarter
right.
Hold on,
really
Jake.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
are 15 minutes to 11. We do have a 11 o'clock scheduled. A
we got a
We
hard date.
got Pescatori and Loco Gonzalez. This is a long overdue interview. We are super excited. This will not be broadcasted live, but I knew we were going to get to this point.
Yeah,
Jake, Jake, I think we have to have Alex back next Sunday if he is available, and we
yeah,
need
sure.
to pick up. We need to pick up exactly where we're leaving off, because Jake, you're hitting the next question square on the nose, which is the
So
Kickstarter
let's
model and
just
everything.
cliffhanger
So
this here.
it's
Yeah.
it's a cliffhanger. So we can gently back out, because we want to give our guest Alex time to be able to even give us a good minute or two promo on what it is that he has going on over at his channel, his website, his Patreon. And then Jake, you and I can then take this to a close. So, Alex, I can't thank you enough for taking the time and hanging with us. You're driving me crazy with this Thundar. I'm going to be following you. I'm going to be following you every 45 seconds on Instagram. You better be posting updates on it. But tell us all about you and how to get a hold of your comics, which are amazing.
All right, but at first, I want to touch real quick on the diamond distribution thing, because
Please.
it's not a complete loss. You can do it. Like I know the Santos sisters. I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah.
That comic is. They're distributed through Diamond, and they started off as this kind of indie stuff. So it really is possible. You just have to. You have to, it's like I said, you have to crack that code of getting your stuff to a wide enough audience so that Diamond does accept you, and you make it through that quandary, I
Gauntlet.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gauntlet. It really is. But yeah, here's my stuff.
Yeah, well,
Here's
we'll come back and talk about this more. This is really interesting,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
compare
definitely.
Diamond to Kickstarter and then also DIY stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
great points. I mean, I got more to say about Diamond too from my old experiences. But
yeah.
why don't you tell us about, because you're the prolific guy. You're like Mr. Prolific, Captain Prolific, and so. Why don't you tell us about your, you know, your schedule and your output and how folks can grab your stuff?
Well, I have a Patreon, which is Patreon / Alexander Turbin or Alex Turbin. I can't remember ever. But and I also have my website, alexanderturbin.com, which is what I primarily like to get stuff through, because it's the easiest for me. But the Patreon really helps me drive me doing my work and keeping it going. So I really truly appreciate my Patreons really quite a bit. And
Yeah.
but this is my newest thing, Mutandis #6. I had reprinted Mutandis from Random Access last month, and I'm kind of trying to get the Mutandis house in order and get it back into a regular numbering and stuff. So this is Mutandis #6, and which is actually a reprint of Random Access, the first run of Random Access, which was number 9 or 10, I believe. but also with 10 new pages. So it finishes out making this into a comic on its own, Mutantis #6. But yeah, I also have all of those other projects, the random access that I put out every month, which is on Patreon, and the stuff that I've been showing on Instagram and to Kurt and stuff, which is the H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard as the main characters in their own story, where they're trying to resurrect Edgar Allan Poe. So I have that actually almost all done. I have it all inked and stuff. I just have to get it colored or figure out what I want to do with that. So yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and my YouTube channel where I'm reviewing comics. Last week I did. You were asking if I watched a B movie, and I watched Fright Night. Does that count as a B movie?
Yeah, that's B movie-ish.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
I
And
mean, Friday
so
Night is TV re-airings, right?
No, the movie.
No, the movie.
Oh, the movie Friday. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have comic reviews on YouTube and stuff, and yeah, I'm actually kind of thinking about starting a new thing where I compare the comics to the movie or TV show or whatever.
Oh, that's
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Kurt. I know, Kurt. We have a hard stop.
yeah,
So, Kurt,
yeah.
take us home. If you want to plug our other series, we got our channels, Comics and Influence. We do flip throughs. We're kind of backed up on that. I got so many comics to flip through that we're not going to do individuals. We're going to do hauls. And then our other our Indie Creator Exchange, where we do interviews. Our last one was Dave Moses, right? That was a great interview, and all of his zines.
David Moses. Yep.
Yeah, we got to talk to him too, because he said, I'm up for some collab. But check out our other channels, and of course, Making Turbo Pit Fighter, which we'll be right back here next Sunday doing.
Yeah, and also Jake and I we did an interview with Alex for our Indie Comic Exchange. And speaking about the Indie Comic Exchange, we are winding. We are winding down for the year, and we have. Like I just said, we have Junction Jones, which is by Tom Pescatore and Loco Gonzalez. This has been a long overrated one for me personally. I've been following John Burkett since 2022, so we have an interview with him. We have Nathaniel J.K. for J.K. Papers, and I have yet to fill about 2 more slots, and then we're going to call it a year, because Jake, I would like us to spend the rest of the year really looking at some of these comics that we tease the hell out of people on our hauls. And also the month of December for me, is a very business setup for my next year and my other business. So my time becomes completely
we got to catch up.
Restrictive on that. So with that being said, though, I'm going to do my best to get links to all of Alex's social media and YouTube and everything. But I might add, if you're on any platform, especially YouTube, if you just do Alex Turbin, you will find his YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, because everything he's showing off is something you have to have in your collection. And I do get kind of pissed off at you because I only have so much money, Alex, and you keep showing these awesome comics. But other than that, I can't wait till next Sunday now. I couldn't wait till this Sunday. Now I got to wait until another Sunday for us to hang out. And this is all because Jake has been on me about setting up a third person. And I was a little nervous just because of bandwidth. So I was just like, hey, why don't I just we'll just take a chance here. And wow, this is pretty darn awesome. So thank you everybody for joining us.
Pretty natural.
Yeah. And we're just going to keep going. Definitely with this live thing, we're figuring things out. So if you have any feedback, please put something in the comment or go from there. But just so you know, Alex and Jake, we had 0 people on on Instagram. So Instagram is not the best place to go live on a Sunday morning. But I believe we had 21 people pass through on YouTube, and a couple of comments. Team Mongoose was making a lot of comments. He actually helped us with the Herculoids.
Wow.
Figuring that out. So really excited about that. And as Jake and I always go on about, we're about building a community, as well as Alex is building a community over on his channel. So we're not unapproachable. So we love to be interacting with fans and other people who are into comics. But that's all I got, guys. Have a great day. And Jake, I'll see you next Sunday.
See you in the funny papers.
See ya.
Hold tight,
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah,
We want to do it just because I want to make sure. I want to make sure you get 100% uploaded, and of course, we don't want to just kick you to the curb.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
oh, great, we're all uploaded.
That discussion about where comics are headed, that's pretty. That's a big deal, I think.
It is, and Jake and I are on multiple levels the best team because we have very almost opposing. I would go as far as to say opposing points of view, as well as I've been having opposing points of view with other people. But it's not that I feel like I have the best point of view, but hearing something to the extent of you backing me up on me making the statement that this is art. This is art, and the focus needs to be on that. But people love watching us make this stuff, and this becomes a super way of presenting or promoting ourselves. But that monetization wheel, I think, is the thing that has to get locked into. Hey, one question I just remembered: do you have a newsletter? Like, do you collect emails for a newsletter?
No.
Okay. I'm querying people about it. Yeah. I've just reinstated mine over the last couple of months, especially with the the Cromwell Barbarian in August launch and everything, because I still believe the website has to be the primary focus of all attention.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
capturing people. And you have a lot of content in the way of let's say giveaways, like a download, a PDF. But if you have, like, for instance, I do Squarespace, and so you can set it up that it's already checked off that Squarespace will capture your email for a newsletter through the ordering of just a download. And so you got to pay another $4 a month to be able to kind of send anything from that platform. But these are all these little things I think we as little people in the art world need to latch on to. But
it's definitely the tiny thing. The tiny details are the difference between success and not success, which depending on whatever your feeling of success is. Yeah. I just want as many people to read my comics as possible.
Oh, absolutely. So I think that's really what all of us. And you know what, too? I think one of the things we're also missing. I was thinking about this a couple nights ago with not having cartoons kayfabe, is the critical mass. I've not seen a lot of really deeper reviewing of comics other than you and Dan Snoke.
Chris Anderson.
On Chris, but Chris is on his own level. I mean, he's on, he was way ahead of the.
Yeah, he's doing reviews and interviews. I see,
and art too. He's doing his own.
Yeah, and he's popping up into my feed a lot more now. So
but,
I don't know.
But even then, he hasn't cracked that. Like Cartoons Kayfabe had what 60, 70,000 subscribers, something like that. They were headed towards 100. You really need that huge number in order to crack the code, I think.
Well, the whole thing about them that has to be constantly reminded, the only money they were truly making was through Patreon, and it was the King Kayfabers. I heard they had at $25 a pop. I think they had over 50 or 75 people paying them that every month. And that's why they passed the threshold somewhere, and then they started doing that pre-recorded live. So that was that whole King Kayfabe. So that was bread and butter for them on that. But I'd even heard rumors that they did not. I mean, I think is that you, Jake?
Yeah, my head. My headphones just died, but I can click
Yeah.
echo cancellation, right?
But yeah, but they really couldn't sell a lot of comics of their own, other than when they would do like a big burst, like hey, I've got Hip Hop Family Tree, blah blah
Right.
blah, because
Right.
but that was all pre-order through Amazon.
Right.
So
Right.
he was making bank when he sold out his pre-order form, and then whoever was publishing that, I think it was Fantagraphics, was then giving him a larger tip, if you will,
Right.
on
Right.
on that, because he does have the control now to be able to sell out.
Right. Right.
A pre-run.
Right. I mean, that's also a big part of the discussion is uh, other publishers like going with Fantagraphics or Mad Cave or whoever it is, and whether or not that's a real viable thing for everybody, which obviously it isn't.
Right. Right. All right. Well, we got people.
All right.
We got our next guest coming in.
Yeah.
Alex, once again, I will be in touch to set us up for next week.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
All right.